Standardized tests and or SATs. I'm sure that we've all come across them at some point in our lives. Some of you may be studying for your SATs or some sort of state-mandated standardized test right now in the school you're going to, or you took them at some point in your life when you went to school. Anyway, I'm making this video today because I saw a video from a very impassioned student who spoke up in front of a school board in her public school in Florida, or her town in Florida, I should say. And the one unique thing about this is the little girl was a fourth grader, and she gave a very articulate, poignant speech that I just found myself saying, my God, everything this child is saying is true. She was explaining the concerns and issues with standardized testing in the state of Florida that are basically echoed throughout the standardized testings in states outside of Florida as well. And I'll leave a link for that little girl's speech in the video description. And it got my gears going because this is something that I thought was bullshit my entire life that I was in school, and even many years out of school now. Standardized tests and SATs are something that just, frankly, just needs to go away. As that girl said in her speech, it's not a fair or proper way to judge or assess a student's total learning ability because it does not take in a student's total learning ability or basically demonstration of what their total learned skills are at any given point in time. And a lot of things are mandated and all sorts of different things that are either allocated to school, be it funding for this or that, or the state's right to come in and take you over based on where you score as a collective group in that school. I know in most states that I've seen, there's a line that's drawn where if you fall below it and the average score of the state standardized test does not get met, the state comes in and takes you over. That's the loss of jobs, that's changing a protocol, it's a number of things that you don't want to happen. And stuff like that is bullshit because you have to examine much more than just the test itself. Like maybe the schools that did better simply spent more time just training their students for the test itself. Maybe the schools that didn't score as high simply just had teachers that said, frankly, I think the textbook work is much more important. I'd rather my students learn a couple more chapters in their textbooks that we're doing this semester than take days on end training for this standardized test. And the same logic applies to SATs as well, in that the SATs are something that could have your score hinge on any number of things, like did you stress out significantly about it and not get any sleep the night before? Did you take a number of preparedness courses for it comparatively to the next person? Did any of number of variables come into play? Now again, such is life, number of variables come into play in any given circumstance in one's life, so in that way, it's a life-preparing event from that end of things. But as far as it being something that these standardized tests, rank your school's proficiency in that county, in that state, what have you, or the way that the SATs rank your ability to even have a threshold met of a minimum of a SAT score to say you're not getting into this school or you are getting into this school, all that is bullshit. And why they need to exist, I have no idea. Now, I both do and don't know when I say that why they exist. They're basically, as far as standardized testing goes, the states see that as a way of having something. Something has to be in place to make sure that some sort of curriculum is getting taught and that the students are basically getting some sort of taught knowledge to them. And another thing a standardized score does is it separates the dullards from the learneds. But here's the thing. You don't need a test to learn how to separate the dullards from the learneds, because the dullards are going to be the flunkers. They are going to be the people that don't advance in school. And I know some people may say, well, you need a standardized test to basically show that the teachers aren't just, having, TV day every single day in class and not doing their jobs. To that, I would say, frankly, the onus should be on the parents and some sort of supervisory board within the school itself or within the county itself. You don't need you don't need some sort of standardized test that is going to be the same test given to every kid in that county or in that state to prove whether or not the teachers are doing their job. The schools should be doing that for us. And the fact that a standardized test exists and that it gives this big stressful situation for the kids to have to endure and have the teachers basically stress the importance of it, because the teachers, it's in their best interest that the students do better. Because if the students do better, their school is seen as more desirable in both the state's eyes and both the teachers' eyes. And it's not just the teachers themselves that see it as something better. It's prospective teachers see that school as something better, because it becomes a somewhat arbitrary list of how to rank schools. And when you're a young aspiring teacher, if you finish the top of your class, you have a chance to go out there, you got a ton of time under your belt already that you volunteered at schools and whatnot, so you're gonna get your foot in the door and you're gonna get hired ASAP. The teachers that are going to be the aspiring teachers are going to look at those ranking lists and say, this school did terrible in standardized testing. The teaching must be poorer there. There must be a lower caliber of teacher there. Why would anyone that's a top talent teacher worth their salt want to go into a school system that looks to appear to be, according to that standardized test, the lesser of the schools that they could pick from to be the prospective employer or be the prospective employee of? So again, there's a number of things that come from these standardized tests, but it doesn't necessarily mean one school students are dumber or smarter than the other school students that did better or worse on these standardized tests. And one last thing I want to say as far as the SATs go, and speaking from personal example myself, again, not to brag or anything, but I was a kid that got steady honor roll in high school and all that, and I did well in my SATs. I forget, it was like 1,300 out of, back then it was, in the 90s, it was a 1,600 max score you could get. And so, I had no real concerns over getting into a decent school. But that's the thing, is going into the SATs, I was significantly worried about it. I was paranoid if, what if I was too worried the night before, or paranoid the night before and I didn't get sleep. I don't know, I got, a stomach ache during the test, any number of things. I had a genuine fear over my potential of going into college or getting into a decent college or what have you, that was all hinging on, if I tanked that test. I mean, sure, you could take it again, but the tank score is always going to be there. And I feared that. And that is a very unnecessary fear, because I feel that the universities themselves should offer some sort of entrance exam to assess the student's knowledge to some level. Again, it's never going to get a totality of the student's knowledge, but it'll show you whether or not you feel they are proficient enough to come into your school. But wait a second, that's funny, because the college I went to, even though I had, good grades and a good score in my SAT, they still made me take an entrance exam. And from other college students I've talked to, they've had to take an entrance exam into their college. So where does the SAT fit into this equation? Why is it even given? It's ridiculous. It's absurd. The universities and colleges themselves should give some sort of entrance exam to, there should basically be two qualifications to get into college. You pass whatever entrance exam the school has, And two, you have either sufficient funding from your parents or yourself, or you qualify for some sort of loan to pay for the classes in that college. That's all the requirement should be, and a high school diploma, okay? You have to at least graduate high school. Okay, I forgot to throw that in. Third thing. And I don't know, it just seems like I don't know how much of it is stressed right now, because I haven't researched going to college since I'm a college graduate. But are schools shying away from it? I hear reports here and there that they are, but I still hear a lot of reports have a minimum SAT requirement. And I'm like, why? What's the point in this day and age to do this, or in any day and age to have done it? It makes no sense. And that little fourth grade girl, and it's a shame because some people started laughing because she started talking like an adult. And they started giggling at her, oh, it's so cute. She's talking like she's an adult and she understands serious matters. Man, that audience needs to realize that that little girl was speaking the 100% truth. I know some people might say oh, I'm sure an adult wrote that speech for her. Maybe they did, but it doesn't change the fact that the words that came out of that little girl's mouth were 100% true. Standardized tests should be abolished. SATs should be abolished. Neither one are true ways to understand if the teachers are doing their job, or that your student has learned enough, or that your student is smart enough to go into this college or that college. Again, the schools themselves should assess whether the teachers are doing their jobs, and the colleges and universities themselves should give you a test to assess whether or not you are proficient enough with the knowledge you have learned in high school and life to come into there and take classes in that college. Anyway, props to that little girl. More people should see that video. A very, very, very impassioned speech. Props to her. And I totally agree. Totally agree. Standardizing tests and SATs, they should be gone. Have a good day, everyone, and good luck to everyone out there that has to study and take their SATs and whatever state-given tests that I'm sure you're being given about this time of year. I feel for you. Been there, done that, and it wasn't fun. Have a good day, everyone.